All right, here we go, guys. Today's video, the day in the life of a part-time charter captain, including how much it costs to operate a business like this. It's one of the questions I get asked the most. Friends, customers, lots of people interested in doing this part-time, and I really recommend it. But it's more than just taking people fishing, and I thought a short video outlining all of that would be helpful to those of you who are thinking about doing this. I'm going to be very transparent with the expenses, how much money I've made. If that's not your thing, stop watching. Nothing to hide here, hence I'm showing it. I'm going to break it out into 4 parts. The first part, you'll hear a very bleary, and it's a little long-winded. You can skip through it, but it's preparing for a trip. And you'll see I'm up at the crack of dawn. It's still night out, and you'll hear a long soliloquy from me on my thoughts on chartering. And then we'll get to the trip itself, and for me that's the most enjoyable part. And finally, when we're done with the trip, what's left to do. And a lot of this will be self-evident, right? The filleting, the cleaning, the running the fresh water through the engines. And then last but not least, I'll pull the curtains behind the books, and I'll show you how much money I spent on 2020 or in 2020 on my charter business, and what I brought in, understanding that the bringing in part was severely affected by COVID. Hope you enjoy. Let me know what you thought of this. As always, if you like these videos, hit that like button. And if you're not already a subscriber and you like content like this, please hit that subscribe button.
All right, here we go, guys. It's Saturday. I can never remember the dates. Well, it's Saturday, November something. Loading up the truck. It's a little before 5 a.m. 4:30 wake-up call. Washed up a little. And this is really an attempt to show you the day in the life of the charter captain. Really a part-time charter captain. As many of you probably know, I do have a full-time job, and I also split my time between out here in Eastern Long Island and in Queens. We got a mom situation. My sister and I take care of her, so it's not that easy to just be out here full-time, even though, my 9-to-5 job, we're all remote right now because of COVID. But yeah, the non-glamorous part of chartering. I drove up here last night around 11 o'clock. I got out here. I rigged up the rods we need for today, and charter leaves at 6:30, but we have a lot of work to do before those guys get to the boat. I need to pick up more crabs. I'm almost out. We got to stop and get ice, get some coffee, get on the boat, get the boat started, make sure all the systems work, get the crabs situated, and yeah, that'll take an hour and a half. So day starts early, and yeah, you can tell it's early. I am not very articulate right now, but hopefully you understood that. All right, yeah, let's get started. Catch you in a little bit. Okay. Stop 1 done. A little after 5 now. Still didn't bother to look up the date, but November 21, I think. Sleeve of ice. Next stop, crabs. All right, 5:35. We're at WeGo Bait and Tackle. Time to get some crabs. Gonna grab the bucket. Have some in my trap, but not enough for the whole day. Hopefully Steve has. Steve's the proprietor. We shall see. Check back in a minute. All right. So this was embarrassing. Half bushel of whites, half bushel of greens, and no money to pay the man. I had made a mental note to stop at the ATM either on my way out late last night or on my way this morning I paid for the ice and drinks and whatnot with a credit card, and completely forgot about the cash. Take the mask off, and sure enough, me no remember to bring moolah with me, so no problem. Today's my last charter, actually, so I'm emptying the boat tomorrow morning. It's going to get hauled and winterized, so no biggie. Wego is on my way to my boat in the morning, and I will stop and settle my debt. If I remember to stop and get cash, which I think I will. This boat's stopping across the street. A little scout. All right, what's the time? 5:41 now. No, we've been up since 4:30. We're not even at the boat yet, but that's okay. You know, I got a bunch of friends. Todd Mann, Long Island Lethal's great channel. Even Doc, my friend Costi, who are really interested in, you know, getting their charter license. And this is one of the things that you don't see. Yeah, you see the pictures on Facebook or on, you know, social media somewhere, Instagram, of the fish caught and a good time is had by all. And that's definitely my favorite part of the trip. Putting people on fish, watching them have a great time. And what we're doing today, light tackle jigging, is so much fun. But the prep work, and especially when you're done, so I'm going to be, it's still dark out and I'm not even at the boat. It's going to be dark or almost dark unless we do a half day today. If these guys limit early, knock on wood, maybe they'll want to save a couple bucks and just make it a half day trip. That would be good, because then it'll still be light out when I'm done and cleaning and filleting and all that good stuff. But this is the part people don't see, the prepping, the setting up, and then, you know, when you're done and, you know, you got crab guts everywhere and crab legs everywhere, and you got hopefully today 9 fish to fillet, and, you know, it's just the chartering part is so enjoyable. But when you're out with your friends, when Sweeney and I own the cobia, and let's say, you know, Doc came along, Doc would tell us, hey, I'm bringing the ice and the sandwiches. Sweeney or I would get the crabs. Another guy would have the boat started and ready and everything ready to go. And when you're doing this, you're doing that all by yourself, and you especially feel it when you come back. You know, how I'm sure everyone here who's fished on a boat before understands the drill. We get back to the dock, one guy does this, one guy does that, somebody cleans the boat, somebody fillets the fish, somebody brings all the bags up. That's on you when you're chartering, and as well it should be. Although I do have some awesome customers, maybe this is more a testament to my filleting skills, who insist on helping me, even though I usually throw up a big storm about that. But yeah, that's definitely the hard part of chartering. And look, there's a lot of prep work involved when you want to set up a charter business. Obviously, the Coast Guard license, I know I got to do a thing on that, because that's a very interesting and long process. You know, getting your New York or whatever state you live in charter license. I'm going way too fast here. Setting up the type of entity you're going to use. I talked to my accountant. She suggested I set up an LLC, and that's what I've done. I have a separate business account. It does not commingle with my personal account. Maybe we'll show some of our expenses this year too. And I have a company credit card that I could have used today, but you know what? I don't like doing that to Steve. He $75 for a bushel of crabs, including half a bushel of whites. You know, he always gives me a break in there. He gives most of the charter guys a discount because we're very repeat customers. So I'd rather pay him in cash, and even though that's really hurting me in the long run, it's good to build that relationship with your local bait and tackle guy. Yeah, so there's a lot of work involved in getting a charter business set up, but this video will primarily focus on the day of what's involved. And again, 5:46 now. I've been up since 4:30. my customers are not coming till 6:30. Well, we're leaving at 6:30, so maybe 6:15. But there's still a lot of work left to do. We're gonna get to the boat. We're gonna drag everything down. I got a sleeve of ice. I got the crabs. I got the rods. I got my bag with all my Coast Guard licensing stuff in there. I got my tackle, a coat, boots. Got to do all that. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but all these little 5-10 minute things add up. And you really need to. Your customers don't want to show up, and that happened one time with me, where I forgot something at home. I had to turn around and go back and get it, and then there was a super long line at WeGo. This was a fluke trip this year, and my customers beat me to the boat. Now some customers, my I think it was my customer G, the first time he chartered me, he literally showed up an hour and a half before the charter, and I was there an hour before, and I see a car parked outside my dock, and I'm like, is that one of my customers? But for the most part, I do try to beat my customers there and have everything ready. So all we have to do is get them on the boat, explain a couple things, and get going. And we're almost at the boat. That's how long I've been talking. Yeah, so we will check in again in a little bit, and we'll go from there.
And here's some shots from that day's trip. This is with my customers, Dan and Dean. We did limit early. We did make it a half-day trip. And like I said in that very long-winded car drive, this is the best part of the trip. Putting people on fish. These guys, this was their first time jigging. They caught on quick. We had an amazing time. I've actually kept in touch with Dan. Dan's the one with the funky beard. I've kept in touch with Dan during the winter. Talked to him about buying a boat. He actually just bought one. And you build those relationships with customers. I can't even tell you how many customers I keep in touch with all year. Trading texts, phone calls. If you're a people person, you will enjoy this. And now let's get to the not so great part, probably my least favorite part of chartering, the end of the day. And yeah, we put the camera on fast action, probably to hide as much of my bad filleting skills as possible. I've learned from Elias, people will critique the way you fillet fish. So we'll have this fast. You'll have to really slow it down to see if I did a good job or not. But yeah, this is step one always. Get those fish filleted, get them ready for the customers so they can leave. Usually that's all they wait for, that and to pay you. And then of course, we start with the boat cleanup, and what I didn't mention is I don't really have a full-time mate. I do have my friend Spiro who helps on weekends, and I think next year I'm going to try to find a full-time mate. I've reached out to one person who's interested. They're waiting to hear on another offer, but maybe we'll have a full-time mate next year. But anyway, yeah, the cleaning the boat. My boat is a 32.5-foot CV. Blackfish season, crab legs, crab guts, it's the orange stuff. It stains, it sticks, it dries. This is probably a 45-minute process when you're by yourself, maybe an hour, where you're wetting everything down, then you're getting the soap, you're doing the deck, and then you're rinsing it off. It's tedious, and when you've been up since 4:30. It's tiring, and this is okay though because it's November. This was, like I said during the car drive part. This is my last charter of the year, November 21. The boat was going to be put away after this. So when you're doing this in August and it's 95 and humid out, it's not fun. And then the last thing we always do, or that I always do, and I'm a big believer in this, is I run fresh water through the engines. I have two engines. I run it for 10 to 15 minutes each engine. I've done that with every boat I've owned. I know some people swear it makes no difference if you do it or you don't do it. I'm personally not a believer in that. I'm operating in salt water, so I always run the hose through each engine. And, with that out of the way, let's get to the exciting part now, the expenses part. All right, and here we go with the expenses and the income. Again, I'm going to be very transparent here. And you see I've broken them down first by expense type, and we have some fixed expenses. And obviously the dock for me is one of the big ones at over $6,000. Insurance is another one at $1,900 something. And then you'll see all these boat payment ones. just a word of advice for anyone who's looking to start this business. If you do have a loan on your boat, only the interest, after you depreciate the business, when you're doing your yearly taxes, only the interest can be deducted. Then we have, some other costs, boat maintenance. Gas is a big part of it, right? I have a twin 350 outboard horsepower engine or engines, Merc Verados. They are relatively fuel efficient for the speeds we're going, but still, I have a 300-gallon tank, and typically 3 to 4 trips to Montauk equals a fill up at about $1,000, and 3 trips to Block Island equals a fill up. That's 45 miles each way. And here we go with the income, and you'll see I broke about even, but I'm going to come out from a tax perspective a little ahead because, again, on the expense side, not all of that is eligible to be taken out as expenses against my taxes. Again, the boat payments, only the interest, not the full amount of the payment. But I ran about 30 trips last year, made a little over 30,000 gross income, offset that with the expenses of about probably 27,000. I haven't figured out the interest yet. So I'll come out a little ahead. And again, if I ran more charters, it's a very thin profit margin. If I ran more charters, I would do a little better. But kudos to those guys who do this full time, because it is not an easy life, man. I mean, these guys are working on razor thin margins, and I don't envy them. And if you do charter a guy, forget me. I'm good. I have a full-time job. This is not how I make my living. This is just something I want to do full-time in the future. But if you do charter a boat, especially if it's a single proprietor without a mate, make sure you tip them, man. 20% is standard. This is not for me. I don't give two farts if I get tipped or not. This is for the guys who are breaking their back doing this full time. Kudos to them. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope for those of you that are interested in doing this, whether full time or part time, this gave you a little bit of insight. And as always, if you like these videos, hit that like button. And if you're not already a subscriber and you like this type of content, please hit that subscribe button.